What's up? What's up? What's up? Welcome to another episode of the Finn's Tailgate with your host, El Capitan. Tonight, we're gonna, talk about a couple of things. There's been a narrative moving throughout the community on social medias alike regarding Derrick Henry and this running back room. We're gonna touch on some of the subjects that have been coming up and the terrible takes I'm hearing all over the place with that nonsense, as well as stuff that's been being talked about with Tua Tagovailoa's contract. A little bit of stuff came out yesterday. Armando Salguero, Barry Jackson, and this speculation and stuff like that. And again, I'm going to get into it, right? And then also, we're going to touch just a little bit in the beginning before we crack this nut open and talk about some of the combine stuff that's coming out. So, guys, on your way in, hit the like button, subscribe if you are new, and we'll talk about this in about 2 seconds.
Turner Yell makes the stop in the secondary for Denver. 1st and 10. The fake. Good block in there, and down it goes. Caught at the 30. This is the dynamic throw. He's in for 6. Tyreek Hill. Touchdown.
Take into your hands a plan, your own hands can land your own brand. And damn, I feel like no one takes accountability. They want the credibility, convincingly unwilling to put in the hours it takes to get some power. Don't be f***ing sour, take a cold shower, scream until you're louder, work until you're prouder, and f*** all the doubters, they're just your downers. I swear to God they all let me down. I always fought just to wear the crown. I'm off, it's these fucking clowns who were all taught they deserve an ounce. It's only worth it if you work for it.
Yes, let's get into it. Shout out everybody in chat. Just for you, doll. I'll take the jacket off just a little bit, No, but yeah, let's get into some of this stuff. Texans Combine. Dolphins talked with the Texas tight end that they have over there. Guy is rated top 2 on everybody's draft boards, everything like that in his position. This is the disinformation campaign season as well, right? Dolphins talking to tight ends, never pick a tight end. Kid that they met with is landing there in their lap. They go in a completely different direction. So let's not get too caught up in who the Dolphins talk to. It was nice hearing from the kid. I'll actually pull it up real quick just so we'll touch on this subject. David Fornes had tweeted this out, and this is what Sanders had to say. Yeah.
It was great meeting Mike McDaniel. Like, you know how you see him on TV, he's a real cool guy, laid back guy, and he's like that in person. So it was a great experience meeting him and talking to them.
What do you think of their system and the tight end's role in that system? What do you think of their system and the tight end's role in that system?
I would love to be in there. I know what I would have success. They would set me up for success. So I'd love to be a Miami Dolphin. It was great meeting Mike McDaniel. Like,
I mean, yeah. I'm sure he would love being a Miami Dolphin, right? I mean, who the heck wouldn't? Especially in this system as well for anybody who's getting targets. But the Dolphins out here meeting with players. Mike McDaniel, Weaver, who's the new defensive coordinator, is out there. Chris Greer, obviously. All kinds of tidbits and stuff like that coming out. Combine numbers are starting to come out. Guys running up and down. Big numbers at some of these linebackers. The D lineman that's ran like a 4.79. God, I can't. His name is eluding me, but just some good stuff. I don't know, I get wrapped up in the drafts certain years. Not really wrapped up in this draft right now. I'll get a little bit closer towards the draft. Once these combine numbers come out and some guys sign places and stuff like that. The board reveals itself a little more. I'm not going to go jumping the gun because if we're being real, guys, Dolphins could go in a lot of directions in the draft. A lot. Like, they could go edge rusher. They could go center. They could go guard. They could go defensive tackle. They could go safety. They could go corner. Corner's a premium position. Pretty much in the first round, the only pick that they're not going to make is going to be a quarterback. They're not going to pick a quarterback. Now, you can agree with that sentiment or disagree, right? To me, we talked about a scenario in which if they were to go back in the draft, say 5 picks, 4 picks, whatever, and still pick the quarterback while recuperating, I don't see any problem with that. Especially if this Tua Tagovailoa contract hasn't been done. And we're going to talk about that as well later on in the show. But I digress, right? And also, listen, if that contract does get done, that changes the board. What players do the Dolphins end up signing? Do they put Van Ginkel back on this team? Do they figure out a way to keep Christian Wilkins? On and on and on. I'm not going to dissect this draft nonsense right now. I like prospects just as much as the next guy. I'm just not wasting my energy and time, what little I got, to look at every mofo out there, right? Like, just no thanks, guys. Like, I'll get more into it and all that stuff when the board starts appearing to me a little bit more, right? I'll still look at the top guys in all their positions because Dolphins might view themselves as not needing a safety because they have guys that are under contract and yada, 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 and they re-signed Deshaun Elliott. But that doesn't mean that a top-rated safety that they had on their board falls to them. So, anywho. Let's go ahead and get into the real subject, though, right? I've been hearing this narrative about the Dolphins should sign Derrick Henry. And listen, I was on the train. I was front and center on the Jonathan Taylor stuff last offseason. I wanted him bad. All the breaking news that came across and the rumors and the little bit of sources that I use that I trust with leaking information about what was going on. That was great. But, Derrick Henry, who's, an older friggin' running back, why are we going ahead and getting this guy? I mean, the numbers we're hearing thrown around is like 9 million, 12 million. Like, are you serious? 9 million, 12 million for Derrick Henry? And okay, fine, right? If you're just going to let me willy-nilly everything in the world, yeah, I'll take Derrick Henry, and you know what, let's go get Justin Jefferson as well. Let's sign all this talent that's walking out the door. It's this la-la land dumbness. What's up, everybody in chat? I see you guys. Michael K., King Doll fan. Oh, yeah, I seen you, Doll. I seen that. I know. I'll take it off in a little bit. It's going to get hot. I like this jacket, though. I'll take this jacket off here directly. Joe Wrist, Cap for Life. What's up, everybody? Salute, guys. 72. What's happening, homie? Hit the like button, everyone. But, yeah, I've been hearing this narrative, right, about Derrick Henry. And I can't help but think to myself, yeah, okay, there was some injuries sustained in the running back room, but we also knew that we were going to run the ball with a little bit more purpose this year, correct? What's up, G? We knew that, I mean, Mike McDaniel talked about it. Now, the ratio was technically close to the same, but I think they had more attempts just because we had more offensive snaps, correct? And it took a little bit of a toll. And I'm not saying that if we added a Derrick Henry that it wouldn't be a plus in the room. But we got good production out of the running back room. And, in a time in this franchise when we need to be a little bit fiscally responsible, throwing away willy-nilly money to, second contract on running backs, that typically, number one, doesn't work. And number two, whatever you're paying the guy, you're not going to get the production. I mean, look just what happened last year with Dalvin Cook and the Jets. They paid him, I forget what and guaranteed money, and they didn't use him at all. You know what I'm saying? It's just not that Dalvin Cook can't be productive. I think he'd be productive if he got more attempts. My point about this is that you have a guy. You have Raheem Mostert for $3 million. You're going to go and give $6 more million to Derrick Henry. How much more production are you getting for that $6 million? Meanwhile, right? Meanwhile, I got a guy in Devon Achane that I know this is typical now. Okay, this is very typical of running backs from their rookie year to their second year, putting on some meat on them bones and not really hitting that rookie wall that running backs typically hit, and they get used. First of all, he don't need to get used to the speed of the game. He's got that. But he also, just getting a little bit more weight in the areas for the long, grueling hits he's going to take, different from college to now. That's really what it's going to take, the workload, the pace, the everything. And typically in that second year, running backs, that's the year they pop. That's the year they blow up. Devon Achane blew up his rookie year in limited games. He plays a full season alone. It's going to be good enough. Why am I going to give $6 million to a Derrick Henry? It's just it's dumb. It's dumb. It's the dumbest take. I hear people fighting over it. I hear people, really going hard in the paint for Derrick Henry to come to the Dolphins. And I'll live in your fantasy land with, if everything if I could have anything I want, sure, give me Derrick Henry. Give me, like I said, Jefferson. This is just dumb stupidity. These moves are not prioritized. $6 million spent on Derrick Henry. I mean, okay, all right, well, let's play this game then. Say we cut Raheem. Do the Dolphins get back all $3 of that million? We'll just say they do. So now you're going to give them 3, and then you're going to go -6 from where you are in your negative cap already. I mean, if we're thinking about guaranteed monies, couldn't I use that $6 million and maybe $2 more million to bring back Andrew Van Ginkel? Think about all the problems that solves. First of all, running back room, not a problem. Not a problem. Maybe, yes, there's a little bit of wear and tear and some conditioning stuff that I worry about. Absolutely. But I go and get myself another Chris Brooks later in the draft. I have a Chris Brooks. I have a Devon Achane. And I've got the guy who's the leader of the running back room, the veteran, in Raheem Mostert. And I'm spending $4 million next year on $5 million on my entire running back room, where you're going to give all the more to Derrick Henry. Is that Dre? What up, Dre? TJ, what's good? Arlo, Raf, hit the like button, everybody. So yeah, this getting Derrick Henry to come to this team and waste the money that I would much rather spend on an Andrew Van Ginkel, a unit that needs help, a banged up unit. We know we're not going to have Bradley Chubb. We're probably not going to have Jalen Phillips. Andrew Van Ginkel's going to be back before both of them and probably start the season. This is just not it's a dumb play. You're going to plug up perceptively, you're going to plug up a hole by creating another. While if you sign Andrew Van Ginkel, that gives you a lot of flexibility as far as the guy that knows the system. He can hold it down until the other guys get healthy, rather than getting a free agent and hoping that he can figure out the continuity and living in Miami and moving here and all that other stuff. Not that it couldn't pan out, but now I got to sign this guy. See what I'm saying? I don't know. It's just a lot of dumb fans out there. And these are these same fans, right? These people that are championing signing Derrick Henry. And I get it. Listen, I'm all about, I'll retweet the fucking bring him home meme. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, bring him home. Like, I'm about it. Bring them all home. Fuck it. But if we're going to be real about this, right? If we're going to be real, what's up, DDG? Thanks, doggy. we gotta absolutely take into consideration that the cap is real. Sorry, everybody. If it wasn't, then we wouldn't be negative in it right now. We would be able to not prevent any of the players we want to leave and re-sign all of them and then sign Derrick Henry. That's not how it works. You want to know how I know that to be a fact? Because players leave their teams all the time for more money. Not for any other reason other than more money. What's up, KP? Yeah. And listen, even if Derrick Henry has, like, you know, a good season, right? Say he gets 1,000+ yards and, you know, is he going to get the Raheem Mostert season I got from Raheem? 20 touchdowns or whatever? You know what I'm saying? Like, is he going to give me that? Well, I can get that from the guy I got. Why am I going to give $6 more million to him to give to what I am already receiving? It just doesn't make sense. Why am I doing this? Meanwhile, again, Devon Achane. He's going to be better. Like, dude, stop with the cap, y'all. And I like a good fuck aroundery, but these guys aren't kidding. These people are dead ass, and they would rather, you know, they're just dumb. Sucks. This fan base has dissolved itself into quite the amount of idiots in the offseason, and it's getting out of control out here in these streets. These people, and I get it, you know, everyone's got a voice now. God bless them, right? These Twitter spaces, these, you know, little podcasty things, these groups, these sessions, they all, well, look, I'm just going to call it like it is, right? They all think they're doing what a lot of these YouTube guys are doing, but they're not doing that, are they? They have no production, they have no values, they have no forward momentum, and have somewhere that they're going to go, right? Anyone could talk in a canned box and have an echo from it and feel like they're doing broadcasting, but you're really not. You're not really taking the step. Radio died, dog. You got to put the show together. You got to put the face on it. You got to have a fucking deal. You need to come out with a cool-ass jacket. You feel me? Like, you got to, and that's cool, but these people that move around in these ways feel like they're standing on, I don't know, like they're just, we're giving a lot of idiots big microphones out there these days, guys, and these are the kind of takes we're getting because of it. And I'm here for the fool around, but these guys aren't fooling around. That's the thing. You guys know, for a lot of you that have been part of the program for a long time, you know we will have fun and go crazy. But this being serious and then like wanting to cancel people up out of here for them telling you you're an idiot for wanting Derrick Henry, or it's asinine, dude. It's crazy. It's dumb. It's pretty dumb. And that's okay, right? It's all right. But these are the same people that put together, they're wanting to sign Christian Wilkins, pick up Derrick Henry, sign free agents that are out there on the offensive line that are clearly upgrades to what we already possessed and are going to demand more money than we can afford. They're complete construction of which desire and hope and then reality, and it's trumped, mind you. This entire viewpoint of people that are hard in the paint for signing guys like Derrick Henry, it's a collective, and it's always around this driving force to prove a point that they've stood their ground on Tua being a winning quarterback in the NFL. And I'm not saying he can't be, and that's the thing they'll say. If you don't, absolutely agree with their absurd narratives that clearly lean biasly to make Tua the greatest quarterback, which I'm not saying I don't want, right? I want him to be the greatest. He's got my uniform. He's starting my games. I want to give him, again, every elite weapon possible. But that fantasy land then cuts into the reality land. And y'all are like, have a little sense. Just a little sense. Because it's exhausting listening to dumb people find other dumb people to agree with their dumb idiotness in absolute delusion land. It's crazy. It's crazy, bro. It's crazy. And sometimes it's funny, but this isn't like satire with a lot of these people. This is how they truly are. That's a sickness. And I don't know. Like, these people vote, bro. Whoa. These people, like, are in your society. And you guys know, go to Walmart at fucking 11:30 at night on a weekday. You see the people that are out there. Ugh. I know. Kind of on a rant now. But again, these people's narrative is forcing their goal narrative, which is to prop up Tua in a light without understanding the give and take of manipulation of a football team. And that you can't prop up Tua further more than you already are and still build a defense, still build a football team. And to that fact, they also want to pay Tua. And they're jumping up and down in excitement because of reports that have come out about Tua. Now, just going to read through this just real quickly. Barry Jackson tweeted out, he says, with Tua expected an extension to pay him more than $50 million annually per source, Armando Salguero, major external free agent and star spending splurging appears largely over for the Miami Dolphins. And it'll be more about the draft, low budget free agents, and street free agents. So, again, to drive home the point that I'm trying to have about Tua's extension and the way these people want to go and get dumbasses, want to go get friggin' Derrick Henry on this football team. That's done, dog. It's done. And that's what you guys don't seem to understand, right? Tua, in the 5th year, whether he gets the extension or not, the money he's going to make is now starting to hurt the team in a cap situation. It doesn't hurt the team to have him on the team. That's not what I'm saying. And that's where your panties getting the bunch. And you know that's what you heard me say. What I'm saying is no more plain than what is being reported. Chris Greer said it how it's been interpreted, that free agent star spending splurging appears to be largely over for the Miami Dolphins. And I want to point this out, this tweet. Let me pull it up because this is, it's telling, right? God damn it. Where'd it go? I always close these windows out accidentally. All right, I'm going to pull this up. So, right here, Travis Wingfield, and God love Travis Wingfield. The man is a literal success, dream job, reporting on the team, but he is an employee of the Miami Dolphins, so you can always kind of get a barometer. And I'm going to say this like this. You can always kind of get a barometer of what's bullshit and what's not bullshit, right? Even when Chris Greer says something or Mike McDaniel says something and you hear these things in interviews and data, I don't know how to put it, man. The Dolphins, like, media pages, they just put the players and stuff like that. But Travis Wingfield, more along the lines, really kind of says things without saying them. Okay, and he's getting okayed from Miami Dolphins social media stuff. So when he has a little bit more context on things he thinks the Dolphins should do, it's really the things the Dolphins are saying they're going to be doing and understand. That's really kind of what it is. So in this tweet from him that happened today, he says, it's the draft success that allowed the Dolphins to get aggressive the last few years. So essentially, they have to go back to what they were doing prior to 2022. And he's got a list here from 2016 to 2021 of, I mean, these are all first-round draft picks. And he's checking off the ones that were hits. And pretty much, let's see, 2, 4, 6, 8, 9. Out of the 9 picks, only 2 of them were misses in the first round, right? This is shedding an absolute blinding spotlight on Chris Grier needing to perform. Again, I've been saying this, that the pressure is turned up on Chris Grier. The only thing you all need to worry about is whose head he's going to throw on the chopping block to save his own neck, which we know his deal is that. But not necessarily if look, he hits this pick, kind of his job's a little done there for a little bit. He's manipulating the cap, and the team has already expressed that if the Tua Tagovailoa contract comes, it is going to cost free agents, and they're going to have to go in a direction. But here we go. We got Laramie Tunsil, Charles Harris, who's definitely a miss, Minka Fitzpatrick, which they traded and reacquired assets, and they traded Tunsil, and that's how they got in 2020 all the picks, as you guys know. Christian Wilkins in 2019, Tagovailoa, Austin Jackson, Noah Igbenogany, Jalen Waddle, and Jalen Phillips in 2021, which I think we can all pretty safely say that those are comfortable hits. He's kind of going back and saying it without saying it. And he actually retweeted the Barry Jackson that I just read. So he, in response to this, is in agreement that the Dolphins will need to hit on very high draft picks, low-budget free agents, and street free agents. Splurging is largely over. Puts context, again, into it and shows the draft. The Dolphins officially are going to have to replenish the ranks. And by replenish the ranks through draft picks and, really good scouting of teams' practice squads, other teams, castaways, free agents, stuff like that, hoping to hit on like a Zach Sealer somewhere. They've got their eye on somebody. They think the system can work better for them, stuff like that. But signing guys like Queen, the dude from the linebacker from Baltimore, signing any of these recognized free agents is probably largely over as far as the big guys who are going to get the paydays. The Dolphins just ain't got the books for that. And it's going to come down to because they're going to pay the quarterback. That's it. They got to pay the quarterback in this scenario. Now, they don't have to. They could ride this out and kick this can one more year, which is where I think they should stand. Because if they do it this way, then Chris Grier and them have to go on this. They need to. They're going to need to look to guys like Jalen Waddle and Jalen Phillips, Javon Holland, and get that foresight and the key players to build a team around in the future and start figuring out that money. That's it, dude. And that's going to cost us financially this year to prepare for that, especially if you're talking about signing Christian Wilkins or franchise down, especially if you're talking about extending your quarterback. No matter how much money you save, we're still negative. We are still negative right now. So now there is a lot of stuff I'm hearing from people I trust about what the Dolphins' intentions are to turn a new leaf quickly and find themselves with positive money. And it starts with extending Zach Sealer and giving some upfront money and working out some money and putting another year on his contract. It's a complete rework and potential extension for Tyreek Hill, Jalen Ramsey, because they need to focus on guys they're going to need. And I keep saying his name because it's a focus, and that's Andrew Van Ginkel. You are in a depleted edge rushing room right now. Depleted. So you're going to have to try to get out in front of Andrew Van Ginkel and put together some form of contract that, because to me, you're not going to be able to outbid the market for Andrew Van Ginkel's services. You're just going to have to hope that it works out in your favor for the lower amount you're going to be able to give him, and hope that he wants to stay here, because you can ill afford to replace a guy like that right now. Yeah, I think Cameron Goods can play in this stead and take some snaps, but I don't think so. You can't let this guy go. So it's a lot of manipulation coming down the pike here fairly soon, because the Dolphins have to get fluid. Now, there's also a lot of people that they've got their eye on, as, they're just not going to be able to. They're not going to be able to get the guys that are going to be signed elsewhere, so they got to have a contingency plan. And they've got plenty of those as well. But a lot of teams you're going to see here directly on the 13th when the free agency kicks off, you're going to see that wave. The big signings are going to happen. You'll see some maneuverability, and then you'll start seeing, trade talks and speculation of players traded and stuff like that. And then also you're going to see now the board changes. This team that would have probably picked a running back in the first round has no need. They've signed a running back, or whatever their position you could insert that scenario with. But the Dolphins are going to be in the bargain bin. And this is the true test for Mike McDaniel. This is the true test for Chris Grier. And this is the true test for Tua Tagovailoa. Because no matter how we slice it, we are going to lose players. We are going to add guys we don't know via free agency in the bargain bin. And we're going to also, put some young guys sprinkled throughout this football team. And those things are all liabilities compared to the team we fielded out last year. And it's all excuses for failure that will not be accepted. This is where the timeline. You can't pay the quarterback. You can't give me a new defensive coordinator. You can't go through another draft and be, broke. You're broke. You can't sign the quarterback. You can't get a new DC. You can't be broke and then tell me, well, I'm broke and we signed this guy and, this new DC didn't work out. And that's why those excuses are off the table, bro. They're off the table. Now, yeah, you can throw the injury excuse one more time, and you know what? I'm so sick of that too, bro. Because really, that ain't the excuse for me last year. But this is a high-pressure cooker situation for a lot of people in this organization from now until the conclusion of this coming season. Because a lot's riding on a lot. And what's the level of success that warrants a good grade or a failing grade that demands something else be tried? I don't know, man. It's rough out here on these streets. And I when I hear these people with these dumbass Derrick Henry takes and things of that nature, they don't realize the position we're really in as a franchise right now. In more ways than one, we're past the point of no return. And there's one or two more things that are going to happen. Most importantly, the signing of the quarterback, that we will be beyond the point of no return. And what I mean by that is we're not talking about losing football games. We're talking about becoming irrelevant. That's what we're talking about.
Did you say becoming irrelevant?
Yes.
Oh, I thought we were already there.
No, we're not irrelevant, Color. We're definitely not irrelevant. Tua's all over the news. Tyreek, we got the show, greatest show on surf, dancing, touchdowns. We got all that. We're definitely not an irrelevant. I'm talking about irrelevant like the Cardinals were. Remember how freaking hot the Cardinals were a couple years ago and how irrelevant they were right after?
Well, to those that believed in Shorty.
I'm just saying. And it wasn't just about Shorty, though. They had that defense. They had that offense. They had things clicking. It was all new and fresh.
Offensive collegiate quarterback.
They had that whole thing cooking, done changing narratives, paid some money, and then what happened? The whole bottom dropped out of the entire thing. And, like, when you're even thinking of, like, teams to talk about in divisions, like, if you're like, oh, yeah, if you can beat the NFC, who's in the NFC, and you go down, you forget about the Cardinals. That's how irrelevant they became. And they were a hot ticket. They were a hot ticket.
So I was sitting in back listening to you, just trying to figure out a way to disagree, because why would it, it'd be boring if we all just agreed on everything. But I can't, I couldn't find nothing, bro. I mean, I don't want to harp on it, but I mean, if you're talking about what you're paying for is a guy that, unless you're talking about, okay, well, there's some concern because he's only getting older, and can he match what he's already done? There's HN, needs to put on a little weight, whatever it is. I mean, nobody's a number one like that anymore, unless that's what you're after, for the future. And let's face it, I'm not saying, for the purposes of a one-man tush push and occasional use, no, he's not. He hasn't lost any power. But if you're talking about, 25, 30 carry Derrick Henry, keeping that power, and no, he ain't that anymore.
Color, it was the same take I had last year when Derrick Henry was a hot topic.
You might be paying for one extra touchdown a game, or a guaranteed first.
Dude, Mostert had 20 plus touchdowns. Color, no fucking way.
I know.
There's no fucking way, bro. There's no way Derrick Henry's coming here and scoring more than 20 touchdowns.
But it's more of a situational, like you're paying for a guaranteed first down or touchdown. You know what I mean?
Do I like the idea of Derrick Henry beating up guys on early downs and then late in the game us putting in H-hand that torches them? Sure, I can understand the
if you're gonna
optics
do that,
and use of it, right? I can understand in late in the playoffs running the ball with force with a giant guy like Derrick Henry.
Right. I mean, if you're going to justify bigger money by saying, okay, we expect to get a little more future out of him, then the play there is Joe Mixon. I mean, don't even bug with Derrick Henry. If you're going to do it right, do it right. Then you got a guy that is borderline superstar for 2-3 seasons. But I don't know. It's just me. Seems like Joe Mixon would be the guy to come up right behind a guy like Mostert. You know what I mean?
But again, when we had this conversation last year about Derrick Henry, it was Derrick Henry or it was Jonathan Taylor. And I'm sorry, the reason why Jonathan Taylor wins over Derrick Henry 10 out of 10 times when you're measuring him from last year and on is because he's younger. That's it. That's all there's. Less wear and tear, less miles, and is younger. It's not because he's a more productive running back. Those years when he was King Henry and just slaughtering people for 200 yards, not that he ain't going to pop one of them off.
In a spot moment now.
And
you're only getting it in a spot moment.
Well, here's the thing, too. last year, he literally ran the fastest he's ever run, and he had like the number one like run time, and
Right.
and great, awesome. But dude, we're talking about, and here this is the thing, like so many, and I don't know if this is like all fan bases because I don't be doing all that. I would actually, I know it's at least throughout the teams in the AFC East because I've monitored some of these other fan bases and they're just as delusional as ours. I think it's just simpleton casual football fans.
Well, there's a lot of them. I mean, look what Taylor Swift brought to the table.
Oh yeah, I didn't even think about that color. Like we have a whole new breed in this bitch now. But everyone gets older. Everything gets harder every year of your life. Okay? Like you got a prime, but like you got to look at, I'll give you a great for instance, right? Derrick Henry is a little younger than Raheem Mostert. But Raheem Mostert has less miles on him.
Yeah.
See what I'm saying? Raheem Mostert's career took a slow start, and even up to that point, you know what I'm saying? And he had some injuries. Let's call it for what it is. But Derrick Henry was literally the entire offense for the freaking Titans through that Tannehill run. You know what I'm saying? He was doing everything, and not that he can't.
Well, I mean, again, and I don't mean to get into the weeds too much, but you look at a guy like Mixon, you think you don't think he had something to do with Browning's success? I mean, you can ask Miss Finns. I picked Joe Mixon as my impact running back like 17 straight weeks, actually 18, because I even picked him on his bye week.
That's how much you believed in him.
Oh yeah, and I was right. Like I had him. Like I got him right every week for like 15 of those.
Joe
weeks.
Mixon's a monster, and what's the other guy? Chubb, monsters. You know what I'm saying? Like there's running backs that are like that, but even those guys, right? Like okay, that's a guy you might want to potentially pay $8-9 million for.
Right, because at his age, that's what I'm saying. You're talking about, okay, if you're spending the money, at least justify it by saying we're going to get further down the road with him. You know what I mean?
And maybe even like a Saquon Barkley, right? Like I'd be down for a Saquon, right? If we're going to spend that type of money, then yeah, give me Saquon over Derrick, just on pure projections.
Yeah,
now, the dude from Seattle, Walker, I think you can get him cheap. He's had a lot of problems.
As much as we say all this about Derrick Henry, wherever he goes, he'll put up a 2,000-yard season. Watch.
But here, you know what it is about the running back position, though? It's until the next best thing. You know what I'm saying? I tell you what, rather than signing any of these dudes, go find me the next Panchenko. Go find me the next Devon Achane. They knocked it out of the park with Devon Achane. Go draft me another one. You know what I'm saying?
Pacheco only gives. Well, actually, Pacheco is actually much heavier than I thought.
He's way bigger than he looks, bro. He's way bigger than he looks.
That's why he's not a Tyreek Hill. The dude's like 220, man.
Well, yes, he is that now. He was smaller when he first came in. Again, this takes some time. Like, there's no reason why
he lost any agility. You know,
no, he definitely didn't, and definitely didn't lose any explosiveness or jump cuts or nothing. Buddy had everything he had when he was smaller, just got bigger.
I mean, even at 190, 195, Achane, you notice when Achane, like, from the outside of a pile, I'm not talking about carrying a pile with his strength. I'm talking about when there's like 4 or 5 guys, offensive linemen and defensive linemen, all in a pile. He'll hit the outside of that pile and literally move the pile 2 yards from hitting.
If Achane, I don't even need Achane to gain muscle, right? Here's the thing with Achane, and I would just say, listen, as long as you can maintain your agility and speed, I need you to gain about 8 to 12 pounds. If he's around 207, 208, 210, and can keep what he's got, he is a force to be reckoned with and could take the beating. You know what I'm saying? I don't even need him to.
That's going to be up to his trainer because there's going to be a threshold where it's like, how heavy can you get
How heavy can you get
Meaning
before it's bothering your
just-
feet, it's bothering your knees, it's bothering your your whatever. It's counterbalancing. Yes. and to me, out of all these running backs that we're talking about and in the chat are talking about that the Dolphins potentially could bring, I don't think any of them have more of an upside than Devon Achane does. If we're going to project, I think Devon Achane has the potential highest ceiling out of any of these running backs that we're talking about.
And all that, the dude is an absolute gifted runner, man. Like really, really good.
I just want Devon Achane to stay healthier and get more targets or reps, whatever you want to say. That don't have to be just through running the ball either. More pass attempts, all that stuff.
He's a lot like Le'Veon Bell, except he's like 5 times more explosive, dude, when he makes his decision to hit the zone.
Le'Veon Bell was a super patient running back, and he had great explosion.
But I think
Le'Veon Bell was great, dude.
I think it just it just plays out faster. You know, like he still the way he'll just sidestep an entire block, like an entire line, bro.
His cutting ability is amazing.
And
you know what else too, though? Like this is the thing. This is the thing. A lot of
arm, you know what I mean? And it's like, all right.
This is the thing that a lot of people don't talk about when it comes to, especially on offensive players, ball carriers. You know, whether it's a receiver, tight end, running back, any guy who gets the ball, how much faster they play as rookies because they're fucking running scared. And you won't run like you want to run fast, run scared, dog.
He runs smart. He don't run scared like that.
Oh no, I think I'm not saying he's running scared. I'm just saying like he's got that healthy fear, and because of that, his just doing what he's done his whole life is kicking in, and now you're just playing free, dude.
Yep, it's his vision. Dre's got it dead on. It's his vision, man. The guy.
That's it. That's right. The guy's vision.
And you ever watch a funny car or a drag car in slow motion when it hits the throttle and the back tires like shrink up and get like 2 stories tall?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
That's like him when he's hitting when he's like engaging.
Yeah, he gets skinny.
He just gets really thin, man. But he doesn't.
He gets real skinny.
Any of his forward momentum and speed. You know what I mean?
And you know what else he's really great at? And I seen him in college do it, but you never know until you get to NFL. His contact balance, bro. His feet, he like runs directly on a straight dot when he's in traffic. You know what I'm saying? And it's like when you're saying able to get thin, right? It's like wherever he's stepping with his right foot, his left foot's coming directly down. He runs on a line, and he's able to maintain that balance as guys are hitting him and stuff like that. And then once he's got clear, he squares up and takes off.
But without losing any of the power, dude.
No, that's the art of it. That's the crazy part. Like the vision is something that was something that I think he displayed that we all were like, wow, look at the vision on the guy. But the stuff that, dude, that contact balance in between tacklers and stuff was beautiful.
So he might be that one of them guys that we finally got that are like, whoa, he's better than anybody. Like, dude, he's better than his draft spot. He's better than anybody any scout saw.
Yeah.
Did we finally get one of those, man?
Bro, I mean, when I see him play, now not so much in the passing game, but it's something I think he'll get better at. That guy looks like Reggie Bush. You know what I'm saying? He puts on a little bit of that weight. That's what he's reminding me of, Reggie Bush.
And I think he's already put on 5 or 10 pounds since.
I think he has, buddy. That's the thing, dude. I think he's got a little on there that you know.
That's one of those processes where you're like, trust the process, and you're like, yeah, okay, because you're like really seeing it along the way. I mean, the guy had 5 games out of 6 or 4 out of 5 where he busted one over 50 yards. It's like, dang, man.
He's a threat and a weapon. And, you know, different in the game when measuring him up to what people want, like a Derrick Henry. You know, Derrick Henry blows up the line. They stack the line and linebackers, right, to stop Derrick Henry on a short down and distance. And he blows them up, gets the edge, and takes off.
Yeah, I mean,
completely different game from what a Devon Achane took off on a lot of his. It's usually, the off-ball linebackers, safety comes up, he's moving, jumping around in traffic, and finds an angle, then and then cooks everybody. Just completely different.
Even in the first game, the first piss
What up,
poor
Greg?
game against Buffalo. I mean, the guy still got a buck 05, man.
Hit the like button, everybody.
I know one of them came on like 55-yard run, but still, it is what it is.
I'm so looking forward to what type of growth we're gonna get out of a Devon Achane, that wasting any money on any running back in the market at all is a lazy, dumb take by people who are pushing their real agendas. And it's take every resource we got left and prop up Tua.
Right,
and
find another way to score a touchdown so Tua don't have to touch the ball. Right. In other words,
I don't even think it's that far as much as like
Kansas City. If we're handing off to Derrick Henry on that last drive, we're not screwing up a shotgun.
Here's the thing that I think a lot of people completely disregard, and it's why we have trouble against harder opponents. Okay, and the bottom line is this, and you need to watch football for a long time. And it's not about watching people break down and film study. I'm talking watch a lot of games in live action, see the flow, and feel it. Okay? And this is what I'm going to put out there, is that when you have two teams going against each other, that other offense that's really good, their defense just needs to make a couple of stops for them to go ahead and put it on you. And if you're going to prop up all of your resources onto your offense, like these people want to do, it's going to essentially mean that you're going to lose resources on defense. So now whatever resources you're taking away from the defense and going to give to the offense to bolster the greatest offense of all time, we're going to have a complete force on the offensive line. We're going to have a stable of running backs. We're going to have 3 number 1 wide receivers because we're drafting one in the draft, and we've got 2 already on the league, and we're gonna field the most high powered offense ever conceived.
So when the offense gets a tummy ache and they score 10 points and they give another 7 to the other team and we lose 24-17, they blame the defense.
That's my point, Color. And
or if we lose 31 or if we lose 27-24, they blame the defense. It's like, wait a minute, we're supposed to be scoring 30 a game, given how we've shifted the resources, like you're illustrating. You know what I mean? And our defense is still holding its own at 23 a game. So
and it's these dumb people with these dumb takes.
What we put together on offense, tummy ache or not, we can't put up 24 points to win a ball game.
It's these dumb people, Color, with these dumb takes.
What's Derrick Henry going to do to make sure we score 27 points a game? We're already scoring 30 until it's Kansas City or until it's Buffalo. You know.
And it's these dumb people with these dumb takes, Color, that have no conception of the money, of the thing. Like, building their fantasy football team on offense costs you on your defense.
Right. I mean, what are we going to do? Beat Denver 77-20 and then still lose to the Chiefs?
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, is that what we're going to do?
Or, you want to be in games. I mean, listen, don't get me wrong. The NFL would love if games were 50-60. You know what I'm saying? They would love that. But that's just not, dude. The Super Bowl was won 22-25. Right, remember that. Right. You know what I'm saying? They didn't score 50 points in that game.
I'd say it sounds more like, Madden-ish. As much as people like to accuse everybody else of learning football on Madden and how to construct a team and manage a team, it ain't Madden.
Well, then they'll say something like, "Well, to win the game, Color, you got to score more points." That's what they'll say.
Right. There's no algorithm to give your guy on Madden a stomach ache.
not just a stomach ache, but like
But I'm just saying, like seriously,
just not showing up, bro.
We're
Just
human.
not showing up.
Have you ever been in practice with gas, bro?
Dude, first of all,
Like seriously, that shit hurts.
if you
man.
got depending on what kind of gas you got going on because you ate some bad fucking chinchilla or something off the taco truck,
Well, you
like
know what I'm talking about. We had that.
it could put you
Italian-
down, bro. It could put you down.
Right.
Like,
well,
you're
we
like,
had
oh my
that
God.
Italian place off A Street and Lake Worth Road, right there. We ate there every day, every time before games, bro.
Exactly. So, but here's the deal, right? These people are then not going to pay attention to the overallness of what it takes to win football games. And it's a problem. It's a real problem because they're not understanding how they're giving license to failure with their stupidity. They're just uneducated casuals. And I'm not saying they don't deserve to have a voice or to be heard, but this internet and stuff has emboldened people with their stupidity that they think they're right. It's crazy, Color. I feel like I'm in fucking delusional land or something. It's nuts.
That's because half of them post something that they think is correct or right on Twitter, and they have 1,000 bots that say, "Oh," they clap like a bunch of seals and go, "Ah, you're right. You know what you're saying. Forget the guy that's been analyzing this stuff for his entire career. That guy's trash because he has a hidden agenda."
But they're creating their own demise at times. See what I'm saying? Like all of these things you want. I mean, well, I don't know. Like if they put Derrick Henry,
for instance, the 4,600 yards, right?
What's that?
The 4,600 yards that Tua threw for, right?
Yeah.
Number 1 in the league, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, Crypto and I looked into it last night just as a little teaser for an upcoming show. There was a year, like I think it was 2019 or 2020.
I know the year.
I'm not sure which exact year.
Tom Brady, Patrick Mahomes, and there was somebody else.
Right, and the 6th place guy, I think it might have been Derek Carr. Whoever it was, 6th place had 4,600 yards.
That's right. That's right, Color. And remember
everybody
all the
talks
quarterbacks
about,
that didn't play last
the
year.
offense was down this year. Well, you know what? Last year it was too. Other than Patrick Mahomes, nobody threw for more than 4,600 yards. Nobody threw for more than, like, I think most of them threw for like 25 touchdowns like we got this year. Same with this year. And Patrick Mahomes stood out for 5,200 yards and 30 some touchdowns. And it's like Patrick Mahomes is the only one that regressed this year. When people talk about the offense being down this year, no, only for Patrick Mahomes. The rest of the quarterbacks, number 2 to 10, look just like they did last year.
Yeah, well, next year it's going to be on the up.
4,600 yards is usually good for about 6th place in your average year.
And that's right, Color. And we're going to go back to the average next year. Because think about this. Aaron Rodgers going to play healthy. There goes somebody who's going to be putting up numbers. Joe Burrow.
Right.
We're just now, any of these people can be injured, but we're not talking in that. The coming back quarterbacks that are going to be putting things up. I expect Matthew Stafford to be better. Right. I expect Joe Burrow. I expect NFL is lit pointing, again.
Like I said, lit coming soon. That was just a teaser. You're absolutely right, because that's one of the things we found out as well. Just how much Patrick Mahomes looked like everybody else this year. But guess what? His percentages on drops and as relates to his completion percentage and on target percentage, it's him. And he's the only one that fell off from in other words, the offensive production overall throughout the league is the same as it was last year, other than Patrick Mahomes.
But that's not going to be the case.
Who fell back to the field this year.
I expect offenses to get back to where they used to be. And I mean, even think about and
the guy still won the Super Bowl. He only threw for 41 something.
Think about think about like Harbaugh with Justin Herbert. Does anyone not think Justin Herbert ain't gonna be better this coming up year? I mean, but for being realistic, right? Don't get me wrong, Justin Herbert could still shit the bed, but
Well, that's speaking of. I think it might have been was it 19 or his rookie, the year he threw big numbers.
yeah, his rookie year.
There was only one guy that threw more than him, Tom Brady. But he was still only good for second with over 5,000 yards.
Well, here's the thing,
people
too.
want to talk about 4,600 yards. Oh, it's number one last year. Oh,
Yeah.
By the way, in the 9 metrics, the 9 categories that I use to figure out my production, Tua was number 1 ranked in 2 of them last year. This year, he's only ranked number 1 in 1 of them, and that's the yardage.
Well, make sure to keep that loaded for the show that's coming up.
Coming. I'm still crunching the numbers.
I can't wait. I can't wait.
We got a lot of time left in the offseason. It's coming.
This sounds like a doozy.
Now, it's going to show. I'm already pretty sure it's going to show that he's better than he was last year in production because he played 4 more games.
That's true.
And a couple of the categories that I factor in are quantitative. So he will naturally go up a little bit. So I expect him to fall probably around 5th or 6th. The point I'm trying to make, though, is they tout this 4,600 yards like it's the best thing since sliced bread. It's actually an average year most years.
So Dre says, I mean, Tua ain't asked for the rest of the QBs to go down this year, and that's
true.
Listen,
that's true.
We're not begrudging that. We're just talking about what can we come to expect next year.
No, 4,600 is a lot of yards, especially when we're rushing for almost 2,000. So
yeah, no, it was a good showing.
I'm not trying to. That's where people get what I'm saying wrong. I'm not trying to diminish what he did. What I'm simply saying is they pump out that one number as if that deserves all this stuff. When we sit here and watch the last, when was Dallas? Okay, yeah, we got that win, but seriously. Where was
here's the thing.
We're putting up, 7 points on a team. I mean, I get it and all, but I look, if somebody's going to go I'm just calling out the hyperbole to put out these memes about 4,600 yards as the reason he deserves $60-some million a year is like, wow. But then people want to talk about, Derrick Carr. You're a joke if you think he's better than Tua. Well, guess what? There was a year where Derrick Carr was 6th with the same 4,600 yards and 30-something touchdowns.
Yeah, I remember that year. Derrick Carr tricked me again. I was like, Derrick Carr sucks, and then he did that, and I was like, well, maybe Derrick Carr's good. He tricked me again.
It don't matter who does what on any other team. Our quarterback ain't getting it done.
Uh-oh.
And it matters.
Oh, shit, Color.
It doesn't matter if I point to Joe Burrow or Justin Herbert or if they aren't either. Good, bad for them, too.
Yeah, I mean, Justin Herbert ain't getting it done, that's for sure. But Joe Burrow's gotten it done better than what we've done. Right? Like, I understand why the Cincinnati Bengals paid Joe Burrow.
And who has beaten Joe Burrow? No, it wasn't a playoff game. Yeah, he's choked in every playoff game or whatever. Hasn't been to a play, whatever it is.
Joe Burrow went to the Super Bowl, bro.
He's equal with Tua's accomplishments. I get that. When was the last time Tua beat Joe Burrow?
Well, he's not equal to, Color. Joe Burrow went to the fucking Super Bowl. He won all those games.
Did Herbert not beat Joe Burrow?
And then he went, and then Joe
Burrow's defense.
Joe Burrow, went to the. I mean, dude, he's had success in the postseason, so I don't know that's not equal.
I'm talking about Justin Herbert.
Oh, Justin Herbert. Well, yeah. I mean, listen.
In other words, he had a big game, if I'm not mistaken, against Joe Burrow, and he won that game.
I guess so. Yeah. I guess you could say that if we're talking big games.
I mean, if we're going to go tit for tat on accomplishments and talk about oh, well, he's equal when it comes to playoffs and this and that and choking and whatever else. If your who is going to get over their choking habit, that's the question, not whether they both choke or not.
Well, here's the thing,
if I'm
right?
to agree that they both choke, then the next question becomes, who do I think has a better chance of getting over their choking? I will take the guy that is thrown for over 5,000 yards on a crap football team.
I wouldn't
with a
call it
bunch of
crap, but I
used up
understand your
freaking wide
point.
receivers.
I wouldn't call it crap, but I would definitely say the year he threw for
Well, then, yeah,
5,000.
you know,
Well,
in the
Color,
year
hold
he-
on.
you know
I
what?
would
In
say
the year he-
I would say definitely the year he threw for 5,000 wasn't a better offense than we possessed
yeah,
last
in the
year.
it wasn't it last year, 2022, that he threw for
That was
5,000.
2 years ago. 2 years ago, I think.
Well, all I know is last year he didn't have a single wide receiver above number 25 in production.
Yeah, but he got injured last year too.
But guess what? He was still in the top 10 in production.
Well, yeah, I mean the guy's got a cannon. Let's call it for what it is, and he throws a lot to the running back.
Tied with Kirk Cousins at 9th. Justin Herbert was higher than that. Yet Justin Herbert only had his best wide receivers 25th. Tua had 2 wide receivers in the top 10, one of them being the second. I mean, we went over this. You know what I mean? Because the whole reason I started the exercise, remember, was because the question was, who carries who? Who makes who more productive, a wide receiver or the quarterback or vice versa?
Well, I think that's subjective, you know. There
It
is
subjective, but that's why I did the exercise. I said, okay, here's 9 categories that I think illustrate production, and I've averaged the rankings in them all. And there it was. And I did the same thing for the wide receivers. And guess what? It showed based on this quarterback's production as relates to his wide receivers' production and their rankings in the production. And Justin Herbert was higher ranked in production than Tua, and his wide receivers were by far lower ranked than ours.
I mean, yeah, Color. I remember, and to me, I
So
don't see
who
how
was
that's. I
creating
don't see how the
production
fuck
there?
that's
So
debatable.
who was creating the production there?
Well, I mean, in those vacuum statistics, I don't see how anyone could even argue that it wouldn't be that case.
Right.
And
Well,
that's
they
the
were.
problem, Color.
They were.
Is that I know they were, and that's kind of like
That's what sparked me to do the exercise. And now we have the opportunity, because I'm going to use the same 9 categories. So you can say, Color, well, those categories you chose are subjective. Well, they are. But guess what? This is the second year now I'm doing it. And since I'm using the same 9 categories, it doesn't matter if those categories was what color is the sky. I'm comparing the change from last year to this year. So it don't matter what the categories actually are now. They're
yeah,
going to be the same ones.
Now you're stacking data.
So we can see the change. We don't care what the numbers actually are, but we can now see the change from last year to this year for every quarterback and every wide receiver, and how much those players were, how much production they produced from last year to this year based on the 9 categories I chose to average out. The thing of it is, I chose the same categories. So whether you agree with those categories or not, the change from last year to this year is still valid to look at. That's what we're going after, is to look at the change. It doesn't matter
100%.
about the actual numbers. 2 is probably going to be much higher than tied for 9th, which was what he was last year, because he played 4 more games, and at least 2 of my categories are quantitative. So that inherently, because he played 4 more games, is going to push him up beyond that 9th ranking. I guarantee you, he's probably going to land about 6th. I'm making a prediction right now without having gotten that far. I'm going to say that Tua will land about 6th in production last year. That's going to be my guess.
Listen, yeah, because you're
Now,
overall.
obviously, I can already guess Tyreek's probably going to land number 1. He was already 2nd last year.
Yeah.
You know, so And Diggs was third, Jefferson number 1. Now, we know Jefferson got injured, so wasn't Jefferson injured a minute?
Yeah, he missed some time, but he's still
right. So we know Reek's probably going to capture that number 1 production spot.
I don't think it would have mattered because Reek was really on a tear this year.
Right, exactly. He increased his numbers, and even if Jefferson didn't get hurt.
Big time relative to his position in the group. And again,
now Waddle is probably going to go down and probably drop out of the top 10 because he held the 10th spot last year.
Yeah, because he missed some time too. And now, listen, again, this is subjective, but you're using the data in the way that people don't want to tie those strings together, Color. And you're it's something I've always appreciated. You don't just come with the takes for what, at least to me and other people that we know, you included, obviously, and especially us here at Tailgate, that can see plainly. And I don't like in this community with these people with the bad takes how they take what is the reality that everyone's looking at and take all these simple data points that, yeah, okay, those are data points, but that doesn't change the facts. And they go, well, no, here's the magical context that proves that this wasn't as bad as you really thought.
Right.
Like,
and I'm not going to.
What the fuck are you saying?
And here's the thing. I'm not going to be butthurt if it shows that Tua turns out to be second in production this year. I'm going to congratulate him and say, good job. But that ain't going to change nothing about what I believe about him.
Thanks, Michael K. Yeah, it's...
Tua could be number 1. It ain't going to change nothing for me because that's when I go, okay, yes, production is just product. There's so many factors involved as to why a quarterback is productive. There's scheduling, there's timing, there's all kinds of reasons. There's 11 wins we ripped off against bad teams that we put up a lot of yardage on.
Here's the good thing, Color.
I mean, in the Denver game alone, we got 2 for 1.
Color, here's what I would like for you to do, right? Potentially, especially with this 9-point system you've coined, for lack of a better term. You could take that and apply it to not just other quarterbacks, but like even teams that lost their quarterbacks and what kind of production they were getting out of the passing game versus to whatever person you're inserting, whether it's Justin Herbert or, Tua or Aaron Rodgers, right? And this data stack could really shed light on some stuff because then it could also take the points of those weapons as well.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
The other thing is.
Well, I'm just hold on. Let me land. Like Joe Burrow, right? If he's doing this, and everyone's like, "Yeah, Joe Burrow's lighting it up. He's a great quarterback." But when he's gone, the guy that takes his place is having the exact same production.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Then we can even tilt that and maybe make the 10th in a stat you can put on there for like a point system. For what that receiver's ranking. So say that receiver's ranking put him at like a 7, right? Say like Chase is at like 7th. But he lost his quarterback, but still had the same production. You know what I'm saying?
That could also speak to what his quarterback was or was not doing for him, because that is going to be a formed subjective opinion for somebody. But that's what I'm trying to do. I'm not trying to show people.
Well, Color, here's the deal, right? Well, let me just cut you off real quick. An
opportunity to look at what I'm doing and say, okay, now I can gather, me being the average person, I can form my own opinion based on what I think subjectively that stuff means. I'm not trying to control what you gather out of my numbers. I'm simply trying to say, based on these 9 categories and the average of the rankings, this is where everybody landed in production. This is where their wide receivers landed. And everybody can discuss what that means, because inside of that, you can have all kinds of subjective take. You know what I mean? Like,
so
and also because of this guy, or was it because of that guy, or was it this or that or the other? You know what I mean? It'll
never have the absolute clarity of, a guy going off, You know what I'm saying? Because it's a big consensus. That's how you come to these statistical type numbers. I- I- but the point being is that all you're doing is using a data point that they're using to argue their delusions, and you're gonna use a data point to keep everyone in reality.
Right,
Not
right.
that you
Again,
couldn't, not
again.
that they couldn't find those same ties and lines from the data points.
Right,
Like you
right,
could,
right,
you know what I'm saying?
right, right. Now, it
You're
also
reinventing. You're reinventing their wheel. Or not even
only a
reinventing.
matter of,
You're
again,
filling in the gaps of the datas that they're using. Is
again,
what you're doing.
and again, this is why I take so much, take it so personal when I see people throw out a meme with one number on it and say this means everything. It's like, that's where I agree with the non-stat heads, where I'm like, no, that means nothing. What does mean something is this. I don't know what it means, but we can talk about what it means. Here, I've done the work. I've shown you that this and that. Let's discuss what it might actually mean. I don't know. For instance, last year, Patrick Mahomes was in and around the top spot. I think he was the top spot in production, right? But
Mhm.
his best receiver on the receiver production list was 21st, Juju Smith-Schuster.
Yeah, and think about that.
So are we talking about where Patrick Mahomes' production come from? Himself. And now somebody said, well, wait a minute, Color. He's got Travis Kelce. Oh, great point. So what I did was I said, you know what? I didn't fact Travis Kelce ain't a wide receiver. But what if I pretended he was? And I factored that in extra so people could see for themselves and for their own opinion. Like, how much did Travis Kelce? So, in other words, if Travis Kelce was a wide receiver instead of a tight end, Patrick Mahomes would have had a wide receiver in the top 10.
Yeah,
Kelce ended up
Kelsey's
landing
production.
7th
Kelsey's
in
production is one of the best
if
wide
he was a
receivers in
wide
the
receiver.
NFL.
Right. Among wide receivers, Kelce landed 7th in production. So Mahomes did technically have a receiver. That was top 10
Again,
in
Color,
production. You know
with
what I mean?
with your color collator metric system, it proves the points, because they would say, "Oh yeah, but Tyreek Hill, or not Tyreek, Kelsey is the weapon." Da da da. And you're like, you know what? You're right. Here he is, ranked 7th amongst all wide receivers. So yes, you are absolutely. And now that data point can be reassessed into.
And that person that had that subjective opinion now can claim that their opinion is more objective. I've helped them find a way to say,
You know what, Color?
my argument towards Color about Kelce, and then Color said, you know what, you're right. And
Color,
he showed
just
why.
real quick before I lose the thought, if you keep refining this year in and year out, you're going to be able to pull a data point to see how production is different when players are gone. You see what I'm saying?
Exactly. For instance, here's the thing. When it comes
This is ingenious, Color.
But when it comes to data points and ideas and opinions that people want to confirm, there is a certain amount of bias, because, for instance, there are certain things that we take as truisms because everybody agrees on, because there's no contention about it, right? There's no personal stuff involved. For instance, we all have agreed that Tyreek Hill got the ball more than he did last year in relation to Jalen Waddle. Right? We all see that. We all, even to a hater, to a lover, on the fence, whatever, everybody's agreed that actually happened, because some people are blaming McDaniel for it, right? So we know that happened. Nobody's going to argue with that. Now, I can use the same production system that I've created to show that is actually true, because Waddle was 10th last year in production. Reek was 2nd. If Reek takes the top spot and Waddle falls out of the top 10, that is another piece of evidence that shows Reek got the ball in a higher ratio than he did last year.
Absolutely. And not only that,
nobody would disagree with that. They wouldn't be going, Color, your stats are shit. But when it's something that proves something they don't want to hear, it's, stats don't mean nothing.
yeah.
You
And
see what I'm
that
saying?
in lies the
Nobody would
problem.
argue that Reek got the ball at a higher ratio than Waddle this year than last year. And the production is probably going to show that. I would predict, because I haven't done it yet. Waddle probably is going to fall to like, I don't know, 14th or something. And Reek's going to take the top spot.
And
For
here's the
same
thing,
reason.
Color. And here's the thing, and I'm going to wrap it up with this, is that, like, stats don't mean something when it's something they don't want to hear. Feelings mean everything when it's the feelings that they have. And I get it. Like, you're constantly in the mode of just trying to educate people, and that takes you having to stoop down to their level. But even then, people are just thick and they're dumb,
Right.
and there's no fixing them, right? And where it gets dicey, because, like, there's thick people all the time, but as long as the conversations can be back and forth, you find a commonality of that. Yeah,
Right.
it doesn't even have to be an agree to disagree. You could still scream at each other and say F you, but come back and that you're right back where you left off. That's okay too. The problem I think we have the most of is that these are the people that are looking to gatekeep, annex, control, close the little windows and not allow this fluidity between ideologies. And it becomes very reminiscent of groupthink that is dangerous and counterproductive here in the fan base amongst this football team, with having what little control Dolphins fans possess. Hold on, Color, let me land on this. The only point that really gets across, the only sliver of little bit of control, is to protest what you do not like. That's all you got.
Right.
Or leave the team. And it's just like the guy the other day, he's like, oh, you're miserable, so you should just leave the team. No, why? Because now you get more of the control of keeping us in this terrible fucking deal. And then what? I'm going to be one of those people that just roots for the front runner. I'm going to root for the Chiefs in the Super Bowl and buy a Chiefs shirt. That ain't how I get down. I love this team. I want to see success out of it. And the only way it's ever going to get better is if the things that are failures are pointed out and corrected. And the only way to do that is to be critical. And if you can't be critical and you're going to be a positive reinforcer no matter what, you're co-signing failure all the time. And then to tell people to leave the fan base or annex them or gatekeep them from being involved to have their opinions about this, it's something we don't stand for around here at the tailgate. It is something we won't stand for, and we will pounce on you like the fucking wolf pack rabid wolves that we are. We ain't gonna play that shit, and that's it.
Yeah, I had to remind people for 2 weeks when I started this thing last year that this is not a list of who is a better quarterback. It is simply production. So people were like, are you kidding me? Goff is anything better than this guy, and this guy's not better than that guy. It's like, no, that's not what it is.
It's not what it
There's going to
says.
be a guy in the top 10, trust me, that y'all are going to be like, that guy's not a top 10 quarterback.
You know what I want to do?
He was top 10 in production.
You know what I want to do to add to this stuff in the future, and this is a lot of work for Color, guys, so applaud him, please. But taking in those next gen stats types of stuff, just as a wrinkle, right? Like velocity of the ball, distance, air yards traveled minus to yards after the catch, those types of things can be super refined as the project continues to evolve. Everybody, make sure you're hitting the like button on the way out. Thank you, Color, for joining me and shedding some light.
Yeah, I just wanted to say hi and good evening to everybody that said hi. I haven't been engaging with chat, and I just wanted to make sure y'all know I see you. I know you're there, and hi to everybody that said hi, and have a great evening. Appreciate every one of you, as always.
All right. Thank you, Color. What's this say? Capitan, that's an awesome TV room that's behind you. Oh, thank you, buddy. Yep, so salute everybody. Hit the like button on the way out. Leave comments at the end of the video. Do the Dolphins need Derrick Henry? Is this just a luxury nonsense that I think it is? Am I being overcritical and thinking that, you know what, let's just sell the farm and sign Tua and get every dime we can and sell all? You know what? Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe we're wrong. Maybe this is the year to absolutely go broke in every which way and just sell out completely. I don't know. But let me know in the comment sections at the end of the video, and we'll see you guys next time. Fins up.